after hours.
Hunting terrorists in Afghanistan, Greg Palkot, our own correspondent there, tagging along with the Alpha Company of the 1st Battalion, 501st Parachute Infantry Regiment. U.S. forces taking fire as they question locals about al-Qaeda and Taliban leaders. From Studio B to Greg Palkot in East Afghanistan.
Shep, the soldiers we're embedded with haven't seen an offensive casualty in the 6 months that they have been in Afghanistan. Today, that all changed, and we were just a few yards away. We're seeing the dangers of the war on terror very up close right now. We're here in eastern Afghanistan, close to the Pakistan border. A soldier from Alpha Company, 1st Battalion, 501st Parachute Infantry Regiment, shot by an unknown assailant somewhere in the woods over there. He is being tended to as we speak. He is said to be in stable condition, but it is a wound. And at the moment now, if you can just pan over and show the other soldiers, they're fanning out around the area, looking for whoever was responsible for that shot. Again, this is in progress now. They are looking for whoever initiated this offensive action. And we see Humvees over to the left. Pierre, if you can show that as well. Immediately, this company springs into action. In fact, Alpha Company soldiers searched the mountains and ravines in the area for several hours, getting some help overhead from Cobra helicopters. All they came up with this day, however, was one suspect who might have seen it all. As for the wounded soldier, he was quickly tended to and medevaced out and is said to be in good shape. And tomorrow, Alpha Company soldiers pick up the trail again for al-Qaeda and Taliban and other terrorists out there watching their backs. Shep.
Greg Palkot reporting earlier. The attacks were described as gruesome and grisly, so bad that we did not even show you the pictures. 4 American contractors killed and mutilated in the streets of Fallujah, torched, dragged through the street, and hanged from a bridge like a piece of cattle, this says. Now today, more violence. A roadside bombing hitting a U.S. convoy, hurting 3 soldiers. U.S. forces say they will find the people behind the attacks and they will make them pay. So what now for Fallujah? Here with more, former Green Beret and Fox News military analyst Major Bob Bevilacqua. He's been to Fallujah since the end of major combat operations there. Major Bob, Sunni stronghold. They loved Saddam. They had money because of him. They no longer do. What do we do about it?
Well, Shepard, that's a great lead-in, and you just answered the question. You got to get these people money. You got to get them jobs. You got to get them some type of prosperity, some type of hope. Up until this point, they've really been ignored and disenfranchised as a community. Now, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Because there's no security in Fallujah, or there's a tremendous problem with it, it's difficult to get in there and do these civil-type projects. So you got to sit down and talk this through. What we have to do, and what we haven't done, frankly, in any of the regions in the Al-Anbar, is embrace the tribal leaders to get them to solve these problems. There are foreign fighters in the area that are doing these attacks. But the sad thing is, the sickening thing is, it's the Iraqi people that are celebrating. They're celebrating in Fallujah, they celebrated in Mosul, and they celebrated in Hila. We have a serious public relations problem with the Iraqi people.
We do, and we had a lot of discussion here about whether to air that videotape, which, you know, I was initially on the side of. Maybe we show some of this because it's reality, and then upon some rethinking and some advice from those above me and supervisors and the rest, you know, we just didn't do it. Some Arab channels did. Is this sort of mutilation and torture and dragging through the streets a picture they want out there?
Shepard, I don't think so. I got a phone call last night from an individual from Fallujah that tried to get the point across that the people in Fallujah, the majority of the people in Fallujah, do not think this is a good thing, and they frankly want it to go away. Unfortunately, there are bad guys in the area. They have cash. They have the ability to win hearts and minds because they speak the language. And frankly, there's very little right now for the Fallujans to do on the prosperity side of the house except get paid by bad guys to go out and do things like this.
Is there a way to keep the outsiders out and keep the bad guys away?
Well, what we need to do is we need to jab our finger on the political side of the house into the chest of the leadership of Syria and say, close your border or we're going to close it for you, and then do the same thing to the Iranians because they're funding the terrorist groups through Damascus in Iraq, just like they do Hezbollah in Lebanon. It's the same model of insurgency and occupation they did in Lebanon.
You talk to a lot of people. Are there thoughts about doing some of this, or are they hoping to be able to wait it out?
Shep, right now it seems like there's a lot of talk. There's a bunch of good ideas on the table, but you have to fund these efforts. And I would tell you that, unfortunately, people are going to have to die before it gets to that level of, okay, enough's enough. We have to go to other countries, put some pressure on them. Right now, the Bush administration is under a lot of heat because the world doesn't see the strategic vision of creating a democracy in the Middle East. All they see is, well, we've got death, we've got problems. We got to go to Syria, we got to go to Iran. There's no way around it.
Major Bob Bevilacqua. Major Bob, good to see you again.
Thanks, Shep. Take care.
All right. So